John Harbaugh has to be thinking, what on earth can I do? Well, look in the mirror because this was all on you that lost to the Bills last night. We'll talk about it today here on Locked On NFL.
The barbershop is open and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is your team every day here on Locked On NFL. We thank you for making us your first listen. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of The Barbershop, one of two NFL shows here on Locked On NFL Daily. Make sure you check it out wherever you get your podcast. Joined today by local expert Julian Council from Locked On Panthers. As always on Monday, we got our fingers on the pulse of the team as credentialed members of the media, and we love giving you the top stories from around the league for actual games that were played with the use of local experts, and we'll be able to jump on that for you here today. Today's show is brought to you and sponsored by Game Time. Make sure you download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Shout out to the everydayers that join us here. That's why we say it's your team every day. And if you're a newcomer, we'll give you a reason to come back. I'm going to let you know what Julie and I are going to discuss today. But first, I have to remind you that we appreciate you listening to Locked On NFL, and reminder that you can follow our show and hear new episodes ad-free daily on Amazon Music. So make sure you go check that out. Here's where we're going to end up. The Dolphins are a hot mess. We'll discuss that, and it's plain and simple, right? They lost to the Colts. Michael Parsons' presence is felt quickly in Green Bay as Detroit took a whooping upside their head. But we're going to start talking about a horrible outcome for Harbaugh. That is John Harbaugh. Julian, if something can go wrong for the Ravens when they play these big games, it absolutely did. And last night, it was the first ballot Hall of Famer who, in my opinion, screwed the game up at the end in Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Wow. Because that was a game where Baltimore ran all over Buffalo all night long, and it looked like Baltimore was going to have that tiebreaker, which we know can be vitally important in the playoffs, because 2 times in the last couple of years, they've had to go to Buffalo, and that has ended up costing them their season in the divisional round in the playoffs, including back in January when they lost to the Bills. So that is a absolute heartbreaker for the Baltimore Ravens to not get off to the season on the right foot and lose that game. And that's now 2 years in a row where they faced off against the team that had ended their season a year prior. Last year was Kansas City. They were a toenail away from Isaiah Likely from winning that game in Kansas City on opening night, and then on Sunday night. Last night, they were, a multitude of things away from having wrapped up that football game last night. So it's just crazy how they did not get it done. You just look at that 4th down, Josh Allen finding Keon Coleman somehow on just like a prayer, that ends up being a touchdown. Then the fumble, of course, that you mentioned there from Derrick Henry, but still you're up by 8 points. Buffalo is able to score. They don't get the 2-point conversion. You have the ball back. Yes, Buffalo has 3 timeouts at that point in time. All you need is a first down, and you can't get it. And I like the fact on 3rd down, they didn't just do a surrender, run the ball, make sure that Buffalo used their final timeout. They tried to at least convert, but they could not get the necessary yardage. But on that 4th down, like, John Harbaugh had a decision to make. Are you going to punt the ball, or are you going to go for it? And looking at ESPN analytics, punting the ball gave them the 73.2% chance to win, which you should still win in that situation. Going for it gave them an 81.4% chance to win. Going for that 4th and 2 from their own 39-yard line. As we know, they punt the ball. Buffalo gets it. Josh Allen does what Josh Allen does. And the old ripe age of 44, Matt Prater, how old he is now,
he
went out there and made that kick. And yeah, Baltimore now is kicking themselves for letting another one get away.
Kevin Oestreicher is, I was going to say was, I think he still is despondent. But you're going to hear what he said right after the game. Check this out.
I have no words. Absolutely none. The Baltimore Ravens fall one of their worst regular season losses I have ever seen to the Buffalo Bills, 41-40 on Sunday Night Football. I'm Kevin Oestreicher, the host of Locked On Ravens. Nobody beats the Baltimore Ravens like the Baltimore Ravens. It's a tale as old as time. You can insert any year in there. The Ravens had this game what felt like wrapped up 40-25, couple minutes into the fourth quarter, and then it was penalties, it was turnovers, it was mental mistakes, it was bad play calling. I can go on and on and on a night where Lamar Jackson was mostly magical. Same with Derrick Henry, despite his fumble. The Ravens just throw this game away. They are 0-1. The Bills now, they will have the tiebreaker over them in terms of head-to-head record, and it felt like the Ravens missed so many opportunities throughout this game. So, to me, Ravens have to bounce back in a big way in week 2. This is a demoralizing loss in more ways than one. You have Tyler Luke missing an extra point, Jerry Alexander with multiple gaffes, just the team in general, the defense giving up 40 points all across the board. Really rough night for the Ravens at the end of it after a lot of positive momentum. So for more on the Ravens and this devastating loss, be sure to check out the Locked On Ravens podcast and subscribe on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Julian, man, I can hear it in his voice.
Yeah.
But I saw it on a lot of people's faces last night. If you'd have told me that Derrick Henry would statistically do what he did, and Lamar Jackson would not only statistically do what he did, but make that throw to DeAndre Hopkins, and Hopkins would make that catch, and Zay Flowers would do what he was doing, I would sit here and tell you they won. They scored 40 what? They scored 40. They won the game. How do you lose a game like that? And the most alarming thing is mentally they got this challenge to get over this, because that's now Lamar Jackson, that's Derrick Henry, that's Zay. Their best players are the reason why they keep losing these close games.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, defensively, you got to get a stop. And you could say the same thing for Buffalo, but like Buffalo's defense, when they needed that stop, they got the stop. They got Josh Allen the ball back with about, a minute 33 left, and he got him down the field without any timeouts, and they kicked that field goal. And really great execution by Buffalo as they were deep down in the Ravens territory to have enough time to set up, to get the field goal out there and kick it as time was expiring. But yeah, you got to make the plays when they're necessary. And they just did not make those plays, whether it was offensively, not converting there, coaching wise, not going for it. If that was a decision that should have been made, we can argue that all the night if we want to, but still got to execute. And then defensively, couldn't get out the field. So like, this is not new to Baltimore. Like, I saw a stat that this is the 6th time since 2022 where they have had a 2-score lead. So a lead of 9 to 16 points and have lost. A 2-score lead in the fourth quarter, that is, and have lost. They are 25-6 during that time. Other teams like Kansas City are 24-0. Philadelphia's 27-1. Like, that's what separates them from the Ravens. And even Buffalo, 19-2 during that same span. Like, that is what's holding them back in these situations. You can just say, oh, it's only week 1. But as Kevin brought up, and as I mentioned earlier, the tiebreaker is paramount for what's going to happen, because we know both these teams, at least the way they looked last night, will be there late in the playoffs this upcoming season. And this will matter towards who plays at home. It looks like Buffalo, if they want to get back to the Super Bowl, whether they win a division or not, going to probably have to go to Highmark Stadium, and that's not going to be ideal.
It's not going to be ideal because they're not going to get any help either from the NFC East. I mean, the AFC East opponents to get Buffalo to be losing games. That ain't going to happen. Yeah, we'll talk about the raggedy Dolphins later on, and the Jets. Even though they played well, they're still. Who are they, Julian?
They're the New York Jets. A 60-yard field goal. That was their undoing, y'all. Only the New York Jets.
I know it. And the Patriots ain't quite right yet, even though they're improved. All right. We'll get to Micah Parsons and his impact. We're going to actually hear from the team that was impacted by his presence in Green Bay. We'll do that in just a second here on Locked On NFL. All right. Today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Prize Picks. The daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest, fastest way to get on the action, to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. You know, I've been playing Prize Picks for a long time, and it has been my go-to for a little bit of extra Skrilla, man. So you better stay locked in for the season. Some people yesterday put you on notice that they're going to be able to exceed those projections, like Travis Etienne, right? All right, this week's max discounts include, and I want you to check this out, Travis Kelce in their next game on the 14th half a receiving yard. Now, you know Travis Kelce going to get half a receiving yard unless he does what he does to his teammate and knock him out of the game early. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Locked On NFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. And today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Upside. Are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind, man, and get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code, Touchdown, and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You could make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code Touchdown for a limited time 25-cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code Touchdown. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. All right, here with Julian Council from Locked On Panthers, going around the National Football League and talking about some things that happened. Michael Parsons' impact was felt. I've been playing Peter Bukowski so much the last week that y'all probably sick of him. But Peter's my man. But we ain't going to play him. We're going to play my man Matt Derry, whose team took that lump on their head yesterday from Green Bay. I don't like the way the Lions looked yesterday, man. It looked really, really raggedy. And we talk about coaches gone, and maybe the aura is gone a little bit too. We won't panic after 1 week, but we kind of gonna panic after 1 week. Here's my man Matt Derry for the Detroit Lions Locked On Lions podcast.
Lions fall in their season opener at Green Bay today, 27-13 to the Packers. This game was really never in doubt from start to finish. Green Bay dominated on both sides of the football. They won in all three phases, including special teams. Lions could never get their offense going. It just was not a good day for this team. And you saw the newness of that interior of the offensive line with Mahogany and Glasgow and Ratledge. All three struggled. Micah Parsons got a sack and a few pressures on Jared Goff. There was the Goff interception. It just was not a good day for this team, really anywhere. They got to flush this one and get ready for the Bears and the home opener next Sunday at 1 o'clock at Ford Field. But the Lions got their butts handed to them today by a very good Packers team. More on Locked On Lions coming up.
Yeah, so all of this talk about how good Jared Goff is, when you take that running game away and you force him to throw it, Jared Goff kind of turns into the Jared Goff that Sean McVay gave up on. That was an ugly game yesterday for Detroit.
Yeah, I think the running game will be fine at the end of the day because, again, this is only 1 week. There's 16 more of these games, obviously puts them behind the 8 ball in the NFC North. And Green Bay, especially with the addition of Micah Parsons, looks like that team. And they've already gone from being a 9-win team of a young core to an 11-win team of a young core. And now they still have a young core, and they just added Micah Parsons to the fold and pretty much dominated for all 60 minutes of that game on Sunday. The Detroit Lions were the best team in the NFC throughout last season, despite all the injuries, until, of course, the playoffs came around. So, yeah, like there's concerns, obviously, as Matt mentioned, with Graham Glasgow having to move over to center, with Frank Ragnow retiring, and Kevin Zeitler, he left in free agency. So you got Christian Mahogany, then the rookie out of Georgia, Tate Ratledge in there at the guard spots. And I think both those guys are really talented. I think the Lions do a great job as far as coaching up their offensive linemen. They'll be fine at the end of the day. But yeah, man, you can't help but look at what the Jets did, especially offensively, with their new coordinator who came over with Aaron Glenn, the former defensive coordinator, and wonder if the Lions, after just, again, 1 week, if they retain the right guy to be the OC. We'll wait to see how that storyline, if it's going to be one at all, plays out throughout the rest of the season. But it was not the most encouraging start for Detroit. All in all, I still think they'll be a solid football team. Will they be as good as they were last year? Hard to ever believe that would be the case, just with some of the losses they have on the offensive line, and also just the loss of two high-level coordinators, and Aaron Glenn now in New York with the Jets. And then, of course, we'll see Ben Johnson tonight in Chicago with the Bears.
So there was something going on last night during the game. Like when Lamar Jackson was carving up Buffalo, everyone was saying, wow, this defense is terrible. But as soon as Josh Allen starts carving up Baltimore, it's like, God, Josh Allen is great. So I won't be the guy that does that to the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to give Jordan Love some love. I've been really, really critical of Jordan Love. I was wondering what it was going to look like, what their offense was going to look. Jordan Love was lights out yesterday. They've had a lot of change. A whole lot of that change has not been on the defensive side of the ball. I was really, really shocked at how poised and how ready he looks to make that next step also.
Yeah. Well, I will mention, though, two plays that should have been turnovers. One of them was turned over because of a penalty, and the other one was dropped. So he had two interceptions yesterday that ended up not being two interceptions. And that's kind of the luck that you need in some of the plays that could change the tide of the game. But, yeah, I thought overall looked really good. That throw to Jaden Reed was spectacular. And I've been a fan of Jordan Love. I just think there's a lot of quarterbacks nowadays that are just outstanding to where we're all comparing Jordan Love to Patrick Mahomes, to Joe Burrow, to Lamar Jackson, to Josh Allen. And when these guys aren't that, it's like, oh, well, he's just okay. It's like, no, he's still a really good quarterback. And he's been playing with a bunch of young guys. And this is still only his third year now as a full-time starter in the NFL. Like, think about that. This is it. It's his third season as a full-time starter. So he's still very young in that role. So I like him. I like Green Bay. And yeah, buddy, everybody in the NFC, get ready, because that Packers team is going to be tough.
It is going to be very, very tough. We spent a lot of time talking about Aaron Rodgers and the Jets and Justin Fields. Big time game yesterday. Here's Chris Carter with the post game for the Steelers' victory over those New York Jets.
Hey everyone, Chris Carter here from the Locked On Steelers podcast with your post-game reaction after the Steelers' 34-32 win over the New York Jets. The Steelers walked into MetLife Stadium, and I wasn't sure their offense was going to have the explosion it did, but my goodness, did they. Aaron Rodgers showing why the Steelers waited till June to sign him, throwing 4 touchdown passes, 244 yards through the air, looking efficient in doing so, finding Ben Skoranek, Jalen Warren, Jonnu Smith, and Calvin Austin in the end zone for the Steelers, showing his ability to go through the offense, know where to go with the ball, looked very solid in doing so. Calvin Austin also having a really big day, in my opinion, showing maybe he is the wide receiver 2 the Steelers want moving forward. But the defense did struggle for most of the game. They allowed way too many rushing yards. Up front was getting bullied for most of the game, but they came up in the clutch. Cam Hayward with the late run stuff, Alex Highsmith with a big sack, and then Jalen Ramsey with 2 big breakups, including that boom of a hit that he delivered on Garrett Wilson that won the game. We'll break all of that down on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Find us on your favorite podcasting apps and on YouTube.
Hey, man, Jalen stepped up. Aaron Rodgers stepped up. DK looked good. I was shocked that the defense got, pushed around and mauled, but then I remember the Jets have been using a lot of resources on their offensive line, and Garrett Wilson is a pretty good player. Justin Fields might have had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. It was a very, very entertaining game, though.
Yeah, and look, the Jets also lost Elijah Vera Tucker for the season, and that's probably their best interior offensive lineman. For them to play that well on the offensive line is impressive, and it is cool to see Justin Fields play the way he played. And I think that was the best EPA game he's ever had in his career. And then obviously Breece Hall, and he's been spectacular when he's been able to be healthy. I don't think he had the best year last year, but he was really good in that game on Sunday. And it has Jets fans feeling like, okay, maybe they finally have an offense after Zach Wilson gave them next to nothing. And of course, the Aaron Rodgers saga of last season wasn't what they hoped it would be. And yeah, Aaron was a lot better yesterday than he had really been a year ago. And he did show that he could still play a little bit, got some help on special teams, that fumble recovery that they were able to get. And then, of course, a 60-yard field goal by Chris Boswell, who Mike Tomlin, another bar, is calling him a serial killer. That's what they have in their kicker. Went out there and hit that one. So, yeah, great win for Pittsburgh. Tough loss for New York. And this kind of goes back to the Bills game against the Ravens. Pittsburgh's defense didn't look good, but they made the plays when they needed to. And they'll only get better once they get the rookie Derek Harmon back, who had a knee injury in a preseason game. So I look at Pittsburgh. Look at, they stole one. Just how do they keep getting away with it? Like, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's Mike Tomlin. They find a way. And unfortunately for the Jets, they also find a way to not get these wins.
Yeah, and we did a lot of mentioning of things that we had talked about in the past. Of course, at the top, we started with ribeye. We started with A5 Wagyu. Now we got to talk about the Dolphins and the Colts. And the reason why we do this is because we call opportunity, man. We give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And we gave Tua Tagovailoa and Mike McDaniel and that crew the benefit of the doubt. And guess what? We probably regret giving them the benefit of the doubt. We'll discuss that in just a second here on Locked On NFL. All right, it's all about game time, man. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle between queues and login screens and prices jumping at checkout. It can be very, very frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives you back the time and the control to all of the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up a Game Time in just a couple of taps. I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite NFL games as low as $100. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. That's promo code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, moving along here to South Florida. They actually didn't play in South Florida. They played in Indianapolis, but they are the team from South Florida, the Miami Dolphins. And I was on the record thinking that this might be, along with the New Orleans Saints, one of the worst teams in the National Football League. I was actually impressed by the Saints. We'll get to them later on in the week, but the Dolphins, not so much. And I don't think Kyle Krabs was too happy to check this out.
Miami Dolphins fell to the Indianapolis Colts in week 1 by a final score of 33-8 in a result that should have a lot of Dolphins fans asking a lot of hard questions. The Dolphins said all the right things this offseason, but as far as total buy-in and communication and leadership and healthy changes, you didn't really see a whole lot of any of that in week 1. Dolphins stumbled out the blocks, were anemic on offense facing Lou Anarumo's defense. And the discouraging thing is Tua Tagovailoa said after the game that the Colts really didn't run a whole lot of things that the Dolphins didn't expect. It was simply the execution element of it. Bradley Chubb, another one of the team captains, saying after the game that the Dolphins were making their own stuff up and not playing team football. This is the kind of stuff that Mike McDaniel can ill afford if he's going to survive the 2025 offseason. And that seat is certainly getting a lot hotter after week 1.
Now, listening to him, what he said about Bradley Chubb's comments, and then watching Tyreek Hill on the bench be so demonstratively upset, it seems like ain't nobody listening to Mike, man. And this is one of the things when you are a player's coach and you're all cool and you dress just like them, at some point when this goes wrong, it's like you ain't no daddy. You one of our peers. And that's exactly the way it looks like it's happening in Miami.
Yeah, it's not so cool to rock the off-whites when you get blown out by the Colts, right? Yeah, and it's interesting is like you look at like his coaching record, like they're now 28-24. Like they've won 9 games, 11 games, 8 games. Not like Miami has been just bad, but you can see this thing crater. And again, it's like it's just week 1, but when you see the same problems from the previous season carry over to the next season, then it's like, no, it's not just week 1. It's a continuation of the same issues that you had and why you have not taken a step forward. Like I question this team's physicality up front on the offensive line. I look at the pass rush, like that's excellent, but I mean, if they don't get home or if they're behind, it doesn't really matter because, you know, you can't stop the run. And then, the cornerback play is just terrible. Like it's probably the worst unit in the NFL overall. And yeah, they're going to have problems this season. Tua, we know there's plenty of good things in there, but the problem is we know there's a lot of this as well. That just a lack of consistency that you can get across the board. It's going to be a long season probably for Miami. And again, congratulations to Buffalo on winning the AFC East once again.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what's going to happen. In Miami, we need to put them into the Lenore Sellers sweepstakes or whatever, because I don't think they have a quarterback. The team that played them, though, They look like, at least for a day, my man Danny Dimes, he looked like I wasn't a problem in New York. They still got receivers and coaches fighting up there. Well, I'm in Indy and I'm playing well. They scored on just, I think, every possession that they had. Listen to a very rare Victory Monday from Locked On Colts.
Wow. All right. So this is what it's like to cover an opening week win. Wow. All right. So what a game from the Colts. They win 33-8 here at Lucas Oil Stadium over the Miami Dolphins on a day where it was all about late owner Jim Irsay. They inducted him into the Ring of Honor at halftime, and you could feel the urgency and intensity in the building here, in the locker room afterward as well. The best news possible for the Colts is that Daniel Jones looks so far 1 week in like he has proven Shane Steichen right. Everything Steichen chose him for, we saw great examples of in this game.
All right, we ain't going to go give Daniel Jones too much praise, but we are going to give him a little salute. Good games, Daniel Jones. You got to put a whole bunch of them together. But I know Colts fans want to hear today that this is another Baker Mayfield. Watch what happens. And that's cool if you want to feel that way. I ain't going to rain on your parade. But they did a lot of good things right against a bad team yesterday. But, hey, that's a part of it, Julian.
Yeah, and they do have good weapons on that offense. Michael Pittman's good player. We saw Tyler Warren had a really nice debut. And then Josh Downs wasn't heavily involved, but he's good. And, of course, Jonathan Taylor at running back. Like, it's not like the quarterback in Indianapolis hasn't had guys to throw the ball to or hand the ball off to. And I think that's been obviously the frustration with Anthony Richardson not to have the kind of consistency you got at least on Sunday with Daniel Jones. Now, I looked at it, and there was something that was awfully familiar about Daniel Jones on Sunday. He was back to wearing the number 17, which he wore back at Duke. And if you look at Indianapolis's jerseys, the home jerseys, they're blue. They have white stripes on each shoulder. And if you just Google Daniel Jones Duke, it's the exact same jersey. Like, the Duke home jerseys he wore back in Durham are the exact same jerseys, both made by Nike, that he's wearing in Indianapolis. So I saw Daniel Jones from Duke back out there on Sunday. That's what it is. He finally feels like he's back home. He's in Durham. He's getting some good barbecue in North Carolina. That must be what happened on Sunday, that he thinks he's playing for Duke. Like, that must be it.
So you putting it all on the drip. The drip is what got Daniel Jones to play right yesterday. It was all about the drip.
It's the same jersey. All you got to do is, it just didn't say Duke on it. It has nothing on it. They don't put Colts on the nameplate. It's just it was the same jersey. I mean, white helmets, just like Duke. They just looked like Daniel Jones Duke. That's what it was.
You on to something, man. And only on Locked On NFL can you get this stuff. That's why I'm going to tell you about the other show. Tyler Rowland in the morning. The madman wakes you up with a double shot of espresso. And Julian Council, this is supposed to be the barbershop, but he just made me, it feels like I just drunk some espresso, because Daniel Jones' whole career now is all about that drip. I got to tell you, New York's jerseys are blue too, but they got gray pants. So they
didn't have the stripes.
That's right.
Shoulder stripes.
That's right. We got stripes here. I'm going to salute my man Julian and let him get to it. And you guys make sure you check out Locked On Panthers, Locked On NFL. We're here twice a day. Football is here. This stuff, these stories write themselves now. I know you guys braved it through the offseason. We definitely appreciate you spending your 28 minutes with us. We don't take it for granted. If you need something else, man, make sure you go check out the newsletter, lockedonpodcast.com/newsletter for the latest information. We work really, really hard on that and give you something to read just in case you can't watch or listen. All right, until next time, for Julian Council, Tony Wiggins, we'll see you later.